Hi, in this video we will learn how to stream responses from ChatGPT or any other service that allows streaming to our favorite stack, that is Xano and Weweb. To those of you who don't know what is streaming, everybody has heard of streaming, but basically what does that mean? It means instead of sending the whole data, the server will send chunks of it to your front end. If you watched any YouTube videos, you know that YouTube is not sending you the entire video in one go. Instead, it will send chunks of it. That's why you see that buffering thing, and that's how you can watch the video. If you use ChatGPT, you might have seen when you ask a question, instead of doing a loading screen and then showing the full answer, it will actually show you as it receives each and every word. Looks like somebody is writing it, right? So that is what streaming is about. And both Weweb and Xano released their streaming features few days ago. Actually, Xano released it first, and now Weweb has also released it. And when this is enabled, we can make use of this feature to build streaming into our apps. If you're maybe using ChatGPT or something to send information in your app, then you can stream that response and show the response right on screen as the responses come in, just like in ChatGPT, right? So here's how a simple API is going to look like. This API just counts from 1 to 10, right? If I click on start stream, you can see instead of waiting for that full response to come in, it's just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it, right? So this was built on Weweb. This is what we're going to build on the first part of this tutorial, and the second part would be a bit advanced, where we're going to build a ChatGPT based streaming endpoint. So basically we will click on this button and we will send data to ChatGPT and show that streaming response from ChatGPT instead of these numbers. All right, so for the beginners, let's start with very basic counting endpoint, right? So let's go to Xano first, because we have to design the backend first and then we will connect it to Weweb. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go to Xano and I'm going to click on API endpoint. I'm going to create a API endpoint. I'm going to call it test stream. All right, verb, I'm going to use get because it's just easy to test get requests in browser. And now I'm going to click on save. So test stream is now active, right? So I'm going to create a variable because my goal is to just print out from 1 to 10, right? So I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to call it just, count. That works. And the value can be 1. Let's start with 1. I'm going to save it. Yeah, I forgot to do the most important thing. I'm so really sorry. The first thing you have to do when you design a streaming endpoint is you have to enable streaming in your endpoint, right? So you are going to click on this 3 dots and select settings. And here, if you scroll this down to the bottom, you can see response type. And response type should be set to stream, right? By default, it will be standard. You should set that to stream, and let's save it. And when you save it, you can see the response block disappeared in Xano. We will add a response block inside the function stack itself. That's how they want us to work with streaming endpoints. All right, so sorry for messing that up. Make sure you convert your endpoint to a streaming response by going to settings first thing after you create your endpoint. Okay, so yeah, with that out of the way, let's get back to our function stack. So create variable, we created a simple variable. Now what we're going to do is we are going to loop through this, right? So let's do a loop, and it will be a while loop. And what I want to do is I want to check the count variable and see if this variable is greater than or equal to 10, right? Because I expect my counter to work from 1 to 10. I enter that, click on save. And by the way, guys, some of you are experts at this, you are advanced, so you can skip to the next part where we will talk about the advanced streaming from ChatGPT. All right, I try to keep my tutorials beginner friendly because I mean, somebody has to teach these things to beginners. I wish somebody taught me these things when I was a beginner, so that's why we're doing this. Okay, so I'm gonna add a subrow and I am going to send a response now. So let's do a streaming response, right? So streaming response is what sends out a response to the browser or the front end program that is using this API, right? So instead of having a separate response box, now we will use this. And what we're going to do is we'll just output count. Okay. Now if we run this, you will break your server. Why? Because this while loop, this loop, it never ends. It never ends because you are not doing anything that will make this condition false. This will always be true. Count greater than or equal to, actually this should be less than, sorry, less than or equal to 10, because count is always less than or equal to 10. Count was set to 1, right? So we gotta update that. I am going to update variable, right? And count, and what I'm going to do is it will be equal to count, but we will add 1 to it, right? So count, and we will add 1 to it. So if you're new to Xano, just please understand you can do things like this to variables. We will have a detailed tutorial for Xano in the future, but yeah, this is it. Now let's click on save. Now if I click on publish and run and debug, streaming is not supported by Xano at this point inside run and debug. So what I recommend is just copy the endpoint URL and put it in your browser. And here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It doesn't look pretty. It has an ID. That is because it's a streaming response. ID, I guess it's a timestamp or something. I don't really care. Anyway, it was very quick, right? It went through like that because it's a simple operation. So what we're going to do is we will also add a sleep or delay. Let's sleep. Yeah, I think they call it sleep. So we're going to add a sleep so we can look at it and see it if it's taking time. So let's add a 0.5 second delay. That might be too much. Let me add a 0.2 second delay, and I'm going to publish it. Now let's see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, that's how we want the data to go out. Okay, so now since this is added, we are ready to go. We are going to test this in our Weweb. All right, so we have a button here, and what you are not seeing is I have also added a rich text box. All right, so let me switch to this edit view. So here we have a button, and then there's a rich text box. This text box is empty right now. It doesn't have anything. What we are going to do is we will connect this text box to a variable. All right, we will do that later. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to let me get rid of the workflow I created. So we're going to add a workflow. So when somebody clicks on this button, we need to start a workflow, and we're going to call it button clicked. Right, now we're going to add an action, and that action would be to request from Xano, right? Request, and the API group will be test, endpoint will be test stream. Okay, now we need to enable this stream response. Very important. You need to enable this, right? Stream response, and you need to also select a stream variable. So what does that mean? Xano is going to send data like this, right? Data 1, data 2, data 3, data 4, all that. What we want to do is we want to take this and put it in an array. That is the only way Weweb allows you to do this right now. So you have to put this in an array. So if you don't have a variable to do it, you need to go to data on this space and click on, like under variables, click on new and just call it stream data variable, whatever. Then the folder is optional. Type, this is the most important part. Type should be an array. All right, so test stream. Let's call the variable that test stream, and the type should be array. And yeah, you can leave these two blank. So we just created this array, right? Now if you click on stream variable drop down here, you can see test stream. Okay, that should be live now. And to see if this is working, what you can do is just click on this test button, and here you can see on the left side the stream is coming in, and here you can see setting value for test stream. So every time there is a new number, so here you can see setting value for test stream, it's 1, setting value for test stream 1, 2, test stream 1, 2, 3. So here you can see that array gets bigger and bigger every time there is a new stream response. All right, so that's how this stream request works in Xano. So now that we have this set up, what we're gonna do is, let me get rid of this rich text as well, because I'll show you how you can do this. So let's remove this and add a text box below rich text. I'm gonna drag and drop this in here, and we are going to change the content of this rich text box to the stream response which we are getting, right? So I'm going to switch to the, I don't know what this button is called. Anyway, I switch to this, and then under content there's a socket button, which means we are able to connect variables to this. So we're going to click on that, and we are going to select our variable, right? So this is the section where we can select variables. This is where we can select collections and all that stuff. So I'm going to click on variables, and then our data is going to come in from test stream, right? So I'm going to select that. As soon as I select this, it disappeared, and that is not what we want. We actually want to show this as a text or something, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to wrap this around a function. This is a built-in function by Weweb. So if you just go to the function stack, and then if you select array, there is a function called join, right? So if you select join, here you can see join test stream. I just wrapped that test stream array around join so that it's just showing up as a single text instead of blank. Right now I'm going to refresh. So right now our array is blank, that's why it's not showing up. But if I click on it, here you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, right? So that's how you can add it. You can play with Xano to send. So let's say, for example, you don't want, oh, by the way, I want to show you one more thing. Here it's adding a comma on its own, right? But you can also provide an extra argument, like maybe for example you want to add a dash instead of comma. You can do that, right? If you want to keep it null, you can do that, or you can add an X or something, right? I keep it like this. So let's test this again. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Now how can I show this in a new line? What I recommend you guys do is in the streaming response you can send a new line character called BR. It's HTML, so just add or concat a BR. I hate when Xano does this. So BR forward slash, if this means new line in computer language, okay, HTML language. So BR forward slash, we are going to concat that with every number, and we're going to publish it. Now let's see how that changed our front end. So here you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. That's working, right? So yeah, that's how we add our rich text and button. I think I should have added rich text like this. Anyway, so that was the first part. Simple, right? Now what we're going to do is we are going to change this streaming from just streaming numbers, and we are going to change it to ChatGPT. So I've already built the ChatGPT endpoint in Xano. So instead of building it with you, which will take a long time, what I think would be best is to just walk through that endpoint so it's easier. So let's just connect that endpoint and see how that works. So I'm going to click on the button. Let's edit that button request, and instead of test stream, I'm going to click on get streaming response, right? That is my new endpoint. So the ChatGPT prompt I gave for this tutorial is write a poem about no code republic, because why not? So if I click on it, it should write a poem about no code republic. In the republic of no code, dreams take flight, which is true. Dreams do take flight when it comes to no code republic. Hey, by the way, if you are enjoying this content, please let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. I am not the best when it comes to engaging with people through video, but I hope this is really helping people. All right, so show some love in the comments, or like and subscribe if it's possible for you. Okay, so how did we build this? Very similar to this test stream. What we did is we are going to first ping OpenAI through our endpoint. So let me just walk through here. So the first thing we need to do is we are going to send a request to OpenAI. So normally in Xano, to send an API request, you would just go for external API request, right? But here, instead of external API request, you need to stream data from ChatGPT or OpenAI, right? So the first step itself is a stream. So you gotta do streaming API request. You're going to use that streaming API request. You are going to stream data from ChatGPT first. So you just select that, and here you can import a ChatGPT curl command. So it basically autofills. This is one of my favorite features about Xano. So I'm going to import the curl command from ChatGPT to create a chat complexion. So we're going to copy that, and I am going to paste that in here and click on import. One additional thing which you should set in your request is you need to enable streaming, right? So I am going to set a path, and that path will be stream. So here you can see somewhere here ChatGPT or OpenAI has listed what should we include for stream. So yeah, there you go. Stream should be set to true or false. So in our case, we want OpenAI to stream data to us first, and then we are going to stream that to our Weweb, right? So I'm going to set to stream, and this should be true. Okay, so update and save. So that's how you create your streaming connection to ChatGPT. I have already done this. I just wanted to show you how to do that again, but here you can see that streaming endpoint is already connected, and when I get data from ChatGPT, it will be stored in this output object stream obj, right? So that's where I am going to stream this data. Now if we try to preview this stream obj, let me just stop and debug stream obj. Now if we just run it, it's just going to show stream, because it's an object and it contains a lot of elements. It would contain a lot of elements in it, right? So instead of just messing with the object, what we should do is we need to create a for each loop. That's what I've done here, for each loop, right? So before I show that, let me just create a new for each loop, so you can just look at how a for each loop is gonna look like. So here the list is stream obj. Remember, we are creating a stream object first, then we are going to look into each element of that stream object using this for each loop. So add a stream object as item. I'm gonna save. Let me just disable this so it doesn't run twice. Now what I'm gonna do is I need to let me just do a stop and debug, and I'm just gonna preview item, right? So basically stream object maybe has 200 elements. Each of that element will be called item inside this loop, all right? So now we're gonna click on run again, and here it's just showing that one element, right? It's just showing the very first one. There are more elements inside stream object, but since we used stop command, Xano is going to show just this. Now let's try to stream the exact response ChatGPT is sending us. All right, so instead of, remember in our test stream we used streaming response, we're going to use that streaming response. So instead of just stopping, what we're going to do is we are going to just stream out our item. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to publish this. So Weweb, sorry, not Weweb, Xano doesn't really support streaming inside their run and debug window. So to see the stream actually showing up properly, we will have to just copy the endpoint URL, put it in our browser, and here you can see the streaming just completed. So this is what is inside that object, right? So first it starts with data, then whatever this is, I don't know what that is, but the poem or the response from ChatGPT, it is actually inside this thing called content. So here you can see data, content in the Republic of no code. So that's how content is. So our job is now to figure out how to extract this content and then stream it to Weweb in a proper way. Most people, not most people, some people try to send this data to Weweb and then figure out how to do things in Weweb. I don't like that. I want to keep my front end as dumb as possible, because I have a very powerful backend like Xano, which can do a lot of work in terms of concatenating and parsing this JSON and sending proper data to front end. If you make your front end do a lot of work, that means the browser of your user should be powerful enough. Else it will just slow down. It will ruin the app's experience. All right. And one other thing is your app's logic. You know, the most important, the brains of your app. If you just ship it to your front end, then everybody can look at it, right? You don't want that. You want to keep everything in your backend. That's just safer for everybody. So what we're going to do is we will take this data and try to just extract the content only and push it through this API. So let's go ahead and look into how we do that. in our for loop. So I'm going to delete my actually I'm going to disable that test for loop, and I'm going to enable the for loop I created. All right, so this is the for loop, and here what I'm going to do first is I am going to check if the item, so remember inside the for loop each individual item is checked and streamed. All right, so the first step is to check if this even has a thing called content in it. So this is basically, it's like a text. So we have to check if our, let me zoom in so it's easier to read. So first we're going to check if there is something called content in it, because if you scroll down to the end here you can see it doesn't have content, which means we are not going to iterate through this. So first thing is we will check if the item contains content is equal to true. If that is true, then we will do some stuff inside our try or catch. Try or catch is not really required, but just in case if there are any errors, we will not stream that response. So I'm using something called a lambda function. All right, so lambda function is basically, I mean, you can do this just by using Xano's parsing mechanisms and stuff. But since we have lambda functions in Xano, I'm on a paid plan, you guys can make use of lambda functions if you have that. So I just went to ChatGPT and asked it to create a function. I didn't write this code. It just takes the JSON, take this string, all right, take this whole string, and then it will remove this first part, like the data. It's just 6 characters. It removes it. That's what it's doing here. 6 characters were removed, and after that it looks like a JSON, right? It looks like a JSON, but it's in text format. So next it will convert that text format into a JSON. That's what it's doing here. Then it will look for content inside this JSON. So here you can see it's looking for choices delta content. So it's going to look into choices, and inside choices it's going to look for delta, and inside delta it's going to look for content. It's going to look much better if you put that in a JSON formatter. So here, this is the item. It's going to look for choices. It's an array, and inside choices it's going to look for delta, and inside delta it's going to look for content. In this case it's blank, but the next items will contain proper content. So that is what it's doing here. And there is one additional thing I'm doing, that is if the content contains /n or /n. That is how ChatGPT or Openai sends new line characters. I want to replace it with BR, right? So it's just for me. Those who don't want to show new lines in your app, you don't need this. So that's what we added in our lambda function, and we are going to return that as a response. And we will take this response and we will just stream that response as it is, right? So now if I publish this and let's run it again. Yeah, let's run it again. So here you can see in the republic of no code, dreams take flight, this would have been / or /n, but using our lambda function we are replacing it to BR because Weweb understands BR. Okay, then where thinkers, creators, bass in, I don't care about the point, but you get the point, right? So we transformed what looked like alien language to proper text. So that's what's going to show up in Weweb when a user clicks on start stream now. So let's configure that now. So if I go to start stream, a button clicked, the request endpoint is now changed to this endpoint, streaming response, right? So let me clear the log very helpful in Weweb. If you switch to this, click on this bug icon, it will show you the log. Just clear the log and click on test, and here you can see the stream is coming into that variable, right? In the Republic of No Code, dreams take flight with clicks and whatever. You wouldn't see BR in Weweb because Weweb understand it as HTML markup and just converts it to a new line. Now here we have already assigned content to that test stream, and we have also used a join function, so the array basically shows up as a full text. And here you can see the BR is showing up in current value, but BR for Weweb means new line, so that's why it's taking a new line instead of this. So final test, what we're going to do is we'll just click on start stream and let's enjoy the poem ChatGPT wrote about No Code Republic. In the land of no codes gleam, ideas flow like seamless stream. Blocks and clicks, a maker's dream. It would be nice if you subscribe. Thank you.